Hello, everybody. It's Cindy with SparkofVintage. Welcome to our channel. If you're new here, we're so glad that you have found us. And if you're returning, welcome back. We're so happy that you're with us again. Today, I have a thrift flip video featuring a couple of cabinets that I found at the Salvation Army that I was able to flip for use in my booth at Not on Main in Dunedin, Florida. So stick around because it's a pretty fun flip. We're going to use some DIY paints and some IOD transfers. Well, these beautiful sets of shelving were such a fun discovery at Salvation Army. I happened to catch them on a 25% off Saturday furniture sale day. So both of them together were less than $75. So that was a great find and exactly what I was looking for. The challenge I had with them was the wrought iron hinges that were on the cabinet doors at the bottom. They were beautiful. The piece was solid wood, beautifully handcrafted, but I knew I wanted open shelving in the bottom of the piece for my display at my booth at Not on Main in Dunedin. So I said to pry those doors off of there. It took about 2 hours. I had to work slowly, but they came off eventually and I got the job done. I was able to get started on sanding. It was pretty easy to sand that beautiful wood, and there were several small surface gouges. Now, I don't really care about the imperfections on the piece, but I did want it to be even so that when we put our DIY paint on there, that we had a nice, even coated surface to the best of our ability. As you can see, the paint I'm using is Crenoline from DIY, and the brush I'm using is the Perfectionist, also from DIY. I especially love this brush because it gets in all of those tight corners, and then in turn, I use some of my other DIY brushes, such as the Multitasker, in order to get the larger surfaces put together. The Perfectionist is such an easy brush to use that I did tend to paint most of my shelving with the Perfectionist brush because it flowed so smoothly and I was able to get into all of the different ridges and actually the knots too that were in the shelving. It's beautiful wood, but again, I kicked in, used a little bit of my Multitasker. I managed to do the entire interior of the cabinet first, and then I put a coat of sealant on it before I did my green trim in the Gypsy Green. I like to do that first coat of sealant first, so that way when I'm using a contrasting color, if I need to wipe that color down or if there's any bleed over, that first light coat of seal gives you that opportunity, because chalk paint, all you need is a little bit of damp moisture and that chalk paint will come right off, and I just find it so much easier for detail work. Well, here you can see where I'm applying my second coat of Gypsy Green. I love this color. I've used it on other shelving and other projects, and I just like the contrast that it does with the warmth of the Crenoline. It's not quite as bright as White Swan, so I think that warmth works really well together. Once I had both of my coats of paint done, I went ahead and sealed it with Big Top by DIY. I love Big Top. It is odorless, very few natural chemicals together, and it's a fantastic hard seal. Of course, once my seal had dried, it was time to apply the transfers, and I was extremely excited to use these Botanical Roses from IOD Summer release. I did buy 2 sets of the transfers so that I could have matching roses on both edges of my cabinet. I knew that we wouldn't be able to see the full 360 of the cabinet, so I wanted to do some extra touches around the sides and the front that would make them look super special. And I have to tell you, these flowers are spectacular, and I was not disappointed. IOD transfers are very easy to use, but the trick to them is there's a very small halo or area of attachment around each of the IOD transfers. This is what makes them fantastic and barely clockable as a transfer, but also the thing that you've got to make sure that you can pay detailed attention to make sure that all of your transfer grabs. I personally like to use the Tim Holtz remnant rub tool. I feel like when I'm doing special and small detailed transfers like these roses and petals, as well as the leaves, that the remnant rub gives me a little more control over attaching than the tool that comes in the IOD transfer package. Again, both of them are useful. It's just my preference, but I find that I just love the control of the remnant rub tool a little bit better. Well, here's a shot of the finished product. I love the crinoline and the gypsy green together. I matched the back of my booth as well to match the shelving. And in just a moment, you're going to get a little shot of the shelving from the side as well, where you can see those beautiful transfer roses. Aren't they just gorgeous? I have to say, I really love how it came out. Well, here's a full shot of the shelving after we were able to decorate the booth. We're starting right off the bat at Not on Main with our holiday setup. We've done a little bit of fall and a little bit of Christmas, and I just feel like those shelves fit in beautifully. So I'm excited to see how the booth continues to grow as we continue to bring new design ideas in and really start to kind of flesh it out. I think it's going to be a really exciting anchor piece in the booth, and we've already had lots of beautiful compliments throughout the day today, so that was really exciting as well. Well, here's a quick recap of all the products that I used. And again, we want to thank you so very much for joining us today. We're excited that you were here, and we're excited about everything that's coming up for the remainder of the holiday season. So again, like, subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next week. And in the meantime, happy thrifting.